Okay, so water hemlock, which is commonly found in North America. As you can see here, it is one of the deadliest typhus plants in North America because of the toxin in water hemlock. It is a violent convulsant which attacks the central nervous system, and just a small amount of water hemlock can cause poisoning in humans or livestock. It is often mistaken for wild carrots or parsnips, which makes it extremely dangerous because they're often livestock eat it, or people think it is something, edible out in the woods or whatnot. So they tend to eat it and not realize they're poisoned for a bit. And to reduce this, people suggest you learn more about your plants. You keep livestock away from anything that looks similar to water hemlock. You keep them out of marshy areas, which is where it grows. And you just kind of be aware of what's growing in pastures where livestock is. Now, as I said, there are two types of water hemlock. The first is spotted water hemlock, which is found all over the United States and throughout Canada. It is the most common type of spotted water hemlock, and it is basically it's the same as the other type, which is western water hemlock. It just grows differently. It's got a different preference based on, soil type and different things like that. Western water hemlock is the other type of water hemlock that is commonly found in the western parts of Canada and the northwestern parts of the United States. It is a bit more selective about the soil it grows in, as well as the conditions that it needs to survive. So that's why it's not as common and not as prevalent throughout the United States. The water hemlock is distinguishable because it has small white flowers, a thick rootstock, and is often 3 to 7 feet tall. The small white flowers are usually in umbrella-like clusters, so they are very close together at the end of the stalk, and there's usually about 5 petals per flower. The different clusters are about 2 to 8 inches long, so they're pretty noticeable. The rootstock actually contains a small number of chambers which hold highly poisonous brown or straw-colored liquid, which is released whenever the stalk is broken. And that's where a good bit of the poison is found and where the toxin is found within the flower. Now, the symptoms can be, because the toxin is a violent convulsant, the most obvious symptoms are convulsions and seizures, but you can also have delirium, nausea, abdominal pain, vomiting, nervousness, salivation or frothing at the mouth, muscle twitching, dilation of pupils, rapid pulse, breathing, anything like that, which can occur 15 minutes to 6 hours after ingestion of the plant. So, these are things you may not recognize after you've eaten the plant. It may, you may not realize that it was specifically water hemlock that you had. It may take a bit to figure out what is causing the symptoms, but depending on how much was ingested, it can lead very quickly to death, which is the next slide, fatality. The earliest known death from water hemlock has been 15 minutes, but that's very uncommon. It usually symptoms start about 15 minutes after ingestion, and then shortly after that, death occurs. Now, some interesting facts that I learned during my research was that water hemlock is very closely related to poison hemlock, which is what was used to execute Socrates, who was a famous philosopher. But it was also used by Native Americans on arrowheads to assist with hunting. And these are my references.